Welcome back to Blake 7. Mission to Destiny is a break from the Federation drama to a sort of problem of the week situation. We begin on some other ship, with the pilot handling the routine tasks of his job, filing reports, making log entries, ensuring they don't get swallowed by a space whale. But that excitement is interrupted by someone who slips in and beats him to death. Probably better ways to break up the monotony. They then smash up the control panel to really make clear their displeasure. Soon, Liberator picks up the ship.
Zen says it's a Mark III Galaxy-class cruiser.
Galaxy-class?
The Federation is getting serious if it's sending Picard after us. Jenna thinks that the ship is in distress. There's no other explanation for its behavior, and there's no answer to hails. So they intercept so that they can check it out, figure out what's going on there. Maybe they're all drunk. Blake, Callie, and Avon teleport over with no sign of anybody upon arrival. Avon figures this has been long since abandoned, but Callie points out that there are recent ship reports sitting nearby, so somebody's here or just recently left, or it's run by ghosts. Try to keep an open mind. Blake and Callie soon find two bodies, but quickly notice that these are not corpses. These people are just unconscious, and the answer to the mystery is soon apparent. Blake had been complaining about a funny smell, which is usually only a complaint after Gan does the cooking. But turns out in this case it's knockout gas that he's smelling, because it's starting to affect them. So we better find that quickly, otherwise they'll go to sleep too and then not wake up at all, or they will wake up when everybody else does, and are going to have a hell of a time explaining that they weren't the ones who did it. Avon locates the tank and notes both the crudeness of this attempt and the pointlessness of it. Once the gas tank is emptied, the filters will scrub the air and everybody will wake up. Well, they have their answer when the dead body of the pilot is found. The murderer used the cover of the knockout gas to commit the act and the sabotage, although the man did have time to smear in his own blood 5, 4, 1, 2, 4, although that does not mean anything to them. The crew's awake. They're all soon gathered, and their leader admits to this incredulous man's annoyance that they're going to answer to Blake because they need his help to get out of this predicament. Everyone is basically the same story. They were doing nothing, they fell asleep, they woke up to see a man dressed like Robin Hood with a perm asking them a lot of questions. The flight engineer is the only one who's not here, Dortmund, so they go looking for him, while Blake and Dr. Kendall check in with Avon. It's a mess to repair, and all, he says, for the purpose of keeping this ship stuck in this path. Also, adding to the mystery, is that before all of this happened, communication failed, suspected of being sabotage, but no proof at the time. I'd say there's probably enough to edge it across the line into bloody likely. If it was Dortmund, it looks like he's long gone. One of the life rockets is missing. Kendall is horrified when he realizes what might be going on, but not to worry, their special box is unopened. Christmas is saved! Kendall explains that their world is called Destiny, hence the title. And the reason that the contents of that box are so valuable is because they're an agricultural civilization. There was an outbreak of a strange fungal disease that was devastating their crops, probably the work of the Federation. They'd been trying to get Destiny to join, but being remote, they've been able to resist them. The stuff in this box can be put into a satellite to alter the star's wavelength hitting the ground so that it'll kill the fungus, and hopefully without giving them all skin cancer. Well, nobody said that staving off the fungal apocalypse was cheap. The mineral required at the core of this is so rare that acquiring enough has bankrupted their economy. It's that valuable, and thus something that an unscrupulous bastard might steal. So damn good thing it wasn't stolen. But Avon doesn't let that good news last for long. He says that even with the ship repaired, the damage to this crystal means that it'll take them 5 months to make it to Destiny. Too late to solve their problem. So Blake suggests that he use Liberator to deliver the box. He can be there in 4 days, and Callie and Avon will stay aboard to finish repairs while he's gone, and thus guarantee his return.
Right, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. You're quite sure about volunteering to stay?
We must help these people.
Must we? Personally, I don't care if the whole planet turns into a mushroom.
Plus, that would be something to see, wouldn't it? While Avon is working on the ship, Callie volunteers to get the parts that he needs, but takes the opportunity to do a little snooping, noting that Mandrian was keen on hiding some kind of small box with a button on it, but not before trying to pry the damn thing open first. Know what you mean? They make the weirdest screws these days. You need to find one with a head like a duck sometimes. She nabs the box, then asks Pasco and Sondheim for directions, the latter not even bothering to hide his suspicion even after she explains herself, which would be easier for us to sneer at if she hadn't just snuck in and swiped something. Pasco, by the way, is none other than John Leeson, the voice of K9, if you ever wondered what he looked like when he wasn't in a metal dog suit. After Pasco gives her directions, Sondheim gets up and follows her, but doesn't catch up to her before she hears an argument between Mandrian and Sarah about him snooping and her keeping secrets. So presumably the box is hers. Or else she hid the TV remote and then lied about it. Some people are possessive. Callie finally reaches the storage where... Yeah, just stick the cadaver anywhere. Nobody cares about labeling things anymore. Looks like this is Gortman, so he didn't take a trip in a rocket after all. Not that I'd guess that murder would have been his first alternate choice. Now that we know something more, it's time to gather everyone again to explain the theory of the case. This is the J'accuse room. What they have pieced together is that the pilot wasn't supposed to be killed, the vent for the flight deck was closed, and the saboteur had to graduate to murder to cover their tracks. The plan was to pin it on Dortmund, but getting him across the ship and into the rocket was going to take too long, so the rocket was fired and the body hidden, to make it look like he was the guilty party and had fled. A desperate play for time. One Dortmund certainly could have done without. If you must die for something, it's generally better for it not to be to give someone a few extra hours to stall. Well, one person has a point that nobody had considered, the possibility that the murderer isn't a member of the crew, which means searching the ship. Except Callie wants to know why Sondheim was following her, and he gives the most fake-sounding justification ever, that he was sorry for the way he treated her and wanted to tell her so. She doesn't buy it.
I didn't know his body was there, I told you. I followed you to apologize.
I'm torn up with guilt, you stupid bitch. Callie finally brings Avon the components that he asked for. All the speed of the post office, that one. Avon says that his instincts tell him Mandrian did it, which means it probably isn't him because Avon doesn't trust an instinct. He is the only person I know who is genre savvy of himself. During this, the Liberator has a problem. When Blake made the estimate of how long it would take to get to Destiny, he didn't factor in that there would be an asteroid field in the way, much too large to go around without adding significant time to their trip, which would likely raise suspicions with the others. They have no communications, remember, so there is no way to tell them short of turning around and heading back. So Blake decides the only choice is to power up their defensive screens and try to fly through. Villa loves this plan like he loves Russian roulette. Not at all.
Have the locators detected the outer edge of the storm yet?
No. Yes! No. Maybe.
Is this a multiple choice? Well, since having the force wall up but the engines off would mean trying to coast for the rest of their lives, we're just going to have to drop it and hope that we race out of it in time. Maybe if we go too fast, we'll quantum tunnel through the rocks or something. Back on the ship, power goes out on the flight deck, and it seems that there's another murder, Mandrian. Sondheim gets the blame. He was discovered holding the murder weapon over his body, although he denies that he killed the guy. He manages not to spew venom at Callie while doing it, which makes it the most believable thing that he has said so far. The power went out because a line was cut. It's actually much less serious than it looks here, which is good because right now it looks one step below dropping a torpedo in our reactor port. This can be repaired, but it wasn't a job that you could do with a knife. You'd need a special kind of tool to do it, a tool that wasn't found at the scene, or on Sondheim's person. So unless he decided to put away the sabotage tool and then return in order to stand over the body with the murder weapon, it's highly unlikely he's responsible. He's an asshole, after all, not a gibbering idiot. Avon says he has figured out the real culprit because what looks like something that he scrawled in blood is actually just a liquid crystal display. Essentially, the tablet has an autocorrect option. If you scrawl something, the computer translates it into the numbers that you are making. But 54124 means nothing. However, if he was making letters, then it would turn them into numbers. A leet speak converter, if you will. So 5 becomes S, A becomes 4, and a poorly made R by a dying man would look like a 1 and a 2. Sarah is the killer, although the fact that she has a gun on them should make it pretty clear. I'm assuming that's the gun. The problem with science fiction sometimes is you're going to wind up holding someone hostage with a bullhorn.
I wanted the nutritope, or at least the money it would give me. It's that simple.
My God, Varon, she's doing the evil voice.
I always know I have got them when they start doing the evil voice.
The box that Callie found finally reveals its purpose. It's a homing beacon, here to draw in Sarah's buyer for the MacGuffin. Well, it's too late to do anything about that now, and as for Blake's delivery, it turns out that their Pony Express act was for nothing. Sarah had voted to give it to Blake for transport. She must have done so because it would allow her to have access to the box long enough to remove the contents before handing it over. It's lucky they opened it to make sure the contents weren't damaged thanks to the asteroid field, because the Liberator was close enough now in order to turn around and return to the ship that is still lazily flying in a circle. Although the bad guys are going to be here soon with their ship. Kind of a race. Well, luckily, Avon has outsmarted Sarah, making her think that they've already arrived and gunned down the crew. So when she comes out, he's able to overpower her and get the MacGuffin. When they try to bring her back, Sarah acts like the spoiled child who didn't get the right Christmas present and finally pulls off her teleport bracelet at the last moment. She gets left on the ship, smirking to herself with the smug satisfaction of someone who has no idea that Blake rigged the ship to explode if anyone tried to board it. So, when the bad guys try to board it, well, it brings her story to a spectacular conclusion. That's usually to be expected with a killing spree, though. Mission to Destiny is unimportant, and I give it a stamp of fine. Avon carries the episode, but there is only so much he can do. The acting of most of the guest stars is unimpressive. Sarah is something right out of a parody. The props completely let down Avon's clever explanation, and the asteroid field was pretty by the numbers. Also, this is the most it's just a set ship that I can recall ever seeing in a professional work. It wouldn't be bad if this was someone's fan film, but late 70s BBC? Woof. Good ideas, but it needed a lot more work on just about every front to be a good episode.
All hail the Overlord! All hail the Overlord!
Once again, I had no evidence. It has been a hell of a week, to be honest with you. But once they have done the evil voice, you know it is the murderer!